You get asked this in every interview and probably in the last interview as well. Tell me about yourself. This question and those first 90 seconds of your interview can determine how the rest of your interview goes. This is why in this video we'll learn about how to start with the strongest impression and craft an answer that sets you ahead of 90% of the competition. If you start your answer with your job title or where you went to school, you've already said the same thing that many others will say. You did not differentiate yourself enough. And the worst thing you can do when someone asks you to tell them about yourself in an interview is to actually tell them about yourself. Instead, answer with this information. But first, let's explain why you're being asked this question in every interview. If you've been invited to this interview, this means that your CV has already got things that are of interest for the hiring managers. So congratulations, you're already winning and your experience is very relevant. However, the interview is there to check a number of things. It might be to verify some of the stuff you've already written about in your CV, and most certainly it is to test whether you are actually capable of doing the actual job. And this is all well and good, but most people miss out on this one important aspect: preparing for the interview. But the question becomes, how can you prepare for questions that you do not know yet? Sure, you could always anticipate or expect, and a lot of these questions are common, but what is not common is the context in which you will answer, which will make a difference according to the interviewer's point of view. This leads me to the next important point. In order to answer the one question you know and you expect, which is to tell us about yourself, you usually need to understand what the interviewers are looking for in such a question. In very short terms, and you already know this probably, the interviewer invited you to hear certain things and tick some very important boxes according to the requirements of the role and the environment you'll be employed in. Things like your experience, your skills, your professional background, your motivations and your ambitions. All this is known to you, but what is not known to 90% of the people is that they are subconsciously, at least, looking for a beginning of a connection. Simply, they're trying to answer a subliminal question, whether they could trust you. This is just human nature. They want to trust that you are the individual you said you are in your CV, and that what you said in your CV checks out as much as possible and as much as they could actually prove. But that's not the only reason why this question is critical. It's especially important because everyone, including the interviewers, treat it as a warm-up. It is the first anchoring point you could consider and think about before the interview, and practice as much as you could for. I'll be giving you some effective ways to answer that question. If you start the interview well by strongly answering this question, then the rest flows from there. Secondly, as a warm-up question, it gives you the opportunity to feel more comfortable and settle in. We all feel nervous before and during interviews, and this is why the more you prepare for this answer, the more comfortable and less nervous you are. This can make a huge difference in you recalling a lot of useful information later for the rest of the interview dialogue. And also by practicing answering this question, you can get used to structuring your answers, coming across as more logical and giving your conversation a more natural flow. This puts everyone at ease, including your interviewers, and being at ease increases the sense of trust that we spoke about earlier. But that's not all. The way you answer this question can set the tone for the whole interview. This is where you lead with your first and strongest impression, confident, not uncertain. This will come from preparation and choosing your words to be clear before the interview, and also practicing your answer in a calm way with the right posture and body language. You have to come across as relatable. The interviewers will appreciate trusted confidence, and this is why your answer cannot be disconnected from what they expect, what they would like to hear for this role, or what your professional background is. So remember, this is the first impression. Your personality will shine through, so make sure it is a clear message. Make sure your answer is well paced and coherent. Don't overshare, so no one will be interested in your whole life story. Instead, focus on the following 3 important things. You could start with your previous experience, your relevant education, and your biggest achievements, adding a 4th statement or sentence about your personality. So let's dive into more detail here, because it can make a big difference to how you answer this question. Experience can be stated in terms of quality and quantity. Quantity is going to be the number of years you spent in your field. Quality is where you need to mention the types of experience, the types of project, and how is it above other relative experiences common for others. For example, you could say something like, I have 15 years of experience leading multidisciplinary mega projects in the scale of hundreds of millions of pounds. Start with your experience. This will be the one thing they write down first and not miss, and most probably remember as the strongest impression. You could then talk about your qualifications and education, and please only mention what is relevant to the role. Don't go and throw in that you are a qualified darts instructor unless it's relevant, or if you think it will make you more relatable, then leave it till the end when you could state something about the more personal side of your life. Quickly state your biggest achievements, something you're proud of and can be a testament to how qualified and skilled you are as an engineer in your field. Finally, you could transition by stating something like, I always felt motivated by solving problems, so here I am and this is why I'm looking for my next challenge. Or you could say something like, outside of work I volunteer as a professional development mentor, so I am very keen to work with different engineers from different backgrounds. There are many examples that could be stated here, but if you would like more information, please go and check my Substack publication and ask your questions in the comments below. I've also left below a link for you to get good templates you could use to get inspired and fill in your own answers to practice before your next interview. Remember, your goal is to introduce yourself towards how you fit the current opportunity and how you meet the requirements, not tell them the story of your life. No matter how interesting you think it is, you can leave the story of your life to when you network with people to get access to more and better career opportunities, which I explain in the video up here. So make sure to give it a watch and tell me what you think. Comment any questions you have, and see you later.